Have you ever walked out of an interview replaying one question again and again in your head? Not the hardest question, not the technical question, but the simple one. What do you know about our company? And suddenly, your mind goes blank.
Oh, that was literally me. I prepared answers about my strengths, I practiced introducing myself, I even memorized my experience. But when the interviewer asked that question, I froze.
Because most people think it's an easy question, but actually, this is the moment where interviewers quietly decide, is this candidate really interested or just applying everywhere?
Exactly. And the worst part is, after the interview, you suddenly think of the perfect answer while sitting on the bus home.
Always too late. And honestly, so many smart people fail interviews not because their English is bad, but because their answers sound generic, too safe, too rehearsed, too disconnected.
Yeah, like saying, your company is very professional, which sounds okay for 2 seconds and then immediately disappears from the interviewer's memory.
Exactly. Today, we're going to help you avoid that because in this episode, you'll learn what interviewers actually want to hear, how to answer naturally, and how to sound confident without memorizing a perfect script.
And trust me, stay until the end of this episode because we're also going to show you common mistakes candidates make, real examples of weak versus strong answers, and a simple formula you can use in almost every interview.
By the end of today's conversation, you won't just know what to say, you'll understand why this question matters so much. And once you understand that, interviews become much less scary.
Honestly, I wish someone taught me this earlier. It would have saved me from so many awkward silences.
Same here. All right, everyone, let's get into it.
Okay, Cece, let's be honest. When interviewers ask, "What do you know about our company?" most candidates panic internally because people think, wait, how much am I supposed to know?
Exactly. And that panic usually creates two types of answers. The first type is too short, something like, I know your company is very successful. The second type is too long. Candidates start reading the entire company history like a Wikipedia article.
Founded in 1997, headquartered in New York, operating in 14 countries.
Exactly. And the interviewer is sitting there thinking, okay, but why are you here? Because this question is not really about information. It's about intention.
That's the part most people misunderstand. They think the interviewer wants facts, but actually they want proof of effort.
Exactly. The company wants to feel you prepared, you care, and you chose this opportunity intentionally, not randomly.
Because companies can tell when someone applies to 200 jobs with the same answer every time.
Immediately. And honestly, interviewers hear generic answers all day. Imagine interviewing 10 people in one afternoon, and everyone says, your company has a very good reputation. After a while, every answer sounds identical.
So the goal is not to sound perfect, the goal is to sound real.
Exactly. You want your answer to sound human, simple, clear, personal. That's what makes people memorable.
You know what's interesting? I used to think researching a company meant memorizing numbers, revenue, offices, employee count. But during one interview, the manager stopped me and asked, "That's great, but what part of our work interests you?" And honestly, I had no answer.
Because that's the deeper question underneath everything. Interviewers are trying to understand your motivation, your thinking, and your connection to the role, not your ability to memorize the About Us page.
That actually changes everything, because suddenly research becomes easier. You're not trying to become a company historian. You're just trying to understand what they do, what they value, and why you want to be part of it.
Exactly. And listeners, here's something important. You do not need to know everything. You only need to know enough to show genuine interest. That's it.
So what should candidates actually research before an interview?
Good question. Focus on 4 simple things. First, what does the company actually do? What product or service do they provide? Because sometimes candidates apply for jobs without fully understanding the business.
That happens a lot, especially when people are applying quickly online.
Exactly. Second, look at the company culture and values. For example, do they emphasize teamwork, innovation, customer experience, creativity? Because your answer becomes stronger when you connect your personality to their values.
That's smart. Instead of just praising the company, you're showing compatibility.
Exactly. Third, look for recent projects, achievements, or news. Maybe they expanded internationally. Maybe they launched a new product. Maybe they won an industry award. Mentioning one specific detail immediately makes you sound more prepared.
Because it proves you actually researched them.
Exactly. And fourth, ask yourself one simple question. Why do I personally want to work here? Not why the salary is good, not because you need a job, but why this company? That self-awareness changes your entire answer.
You know what I realized during my last interview? The strongest candidates don't sound like they're begging for a job. They sound like they already see themselves contributing.
That's such a good observation. Weak answers sound passive. Strong answers sound connected. For example, weak answer, I want to work here because your company is successful. Strong answer, I'm excited about your company's focus on digital marketing because I enjoy creative projects and fast-moving environments. See the difference?
Yeah, the second answer has personality.
Exactly. And personality matters because interviewers are not just hiring skills, they're hiring people they'll work with every day.
That's true. A candidate could have amazing qualifications, but if their answers feel cold or disconnected, it becomes difficult to imagine working with them.
Exactly. And listeners, here's another important thing. Stop trying to sound overly formal. Sometimes candidates think professional English means complicated English. It doesn't. Simple English with confidence is much stronger.
That's such an important point, because many English learners panic and try to use big words, and suddenly the answer sounds unnatural.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying, I am profoundly fascinated by your corporation's operational excellence, you can simply say, I really like the way your company focuses on customer experience. Clear, natural, professional.
Honestly, natural English always sounds more confident.
Exactly. Confidence is not about difficult vocabulary. Confidence is about clarity.
Can we talk about another mistake? Sometimes candidates focus too much on what they want, like career growth, salary, benefits, remote work.
Yes, and while those things matter, your answer should not sound self-centered. The interviewer wants to hear what you admire, what you value, and how you can contribute, not just what can your company give me.
That makes sense, because hiring is a two-way relationship.
Exactly. The company is asking, why should we choose you? And your answer should quietly communicate, because I care about the work and I can bring value.
You know what helped me recently? Instead of memorizing full answers, I started remembering key words like innovation, teamwork, customer experience, growth. Then I build my answer naturally during the interview.
That's actually a great strategy because memorized answers can become dangerous. The moment you forget one sentence, panic starts.
Exactly, and then your brain completely shuts down.
But when you understand the message instead of memorizing the script, you sound more relaxed and authentic, and interviewers can feel that difference immediately.
So basically, the best answer is not the longest answer, the smartest answer, or the most complicated answer. It's the answer that feels thoughtful and genuine.
Exactly. And honestly, this question is a huge opportunity because many candidates waste it. If you answer well, you immediately stand out as prepared, professional, and intentional.
And that changes the energy of the interview.
Completely. Because now the interviewer starts thinking, Okay, this person is serious. And once that happens, the conversation becomes much warmer.
I think listeners should remember this one sentence. Research is not about impressing the company, it's about creating connection.
Perfectly said. And in the next part, we're going to show you a very simple structure you can use to build your own answer naturally, even if your English is not perfect.
And trust me, once you learn this framework, answering this question becomes much less stressful.
All right, everyone. Now, let's get practical. Because at this point, you might be thinking, okay, I understand the purpose of the question, but what exactly should I say? So let's simplify everything. You do not need a complicated answer. You just need a clear structure.
Thank goodness, because when people hear job interview, they immediately think they need some magical corporate answer.
Exactly. But honestly, most strong interview answers follow a very simple pattern. 3 parts. That's it.
Okay, listeners, get ready. This is probably the most useful part of today's episode.
Here's the structure. Step 1, say what you know about the company. Step 2, say what impressed you. Step 3, connect it to yourself. Simple, clear, professional.
I like that because it gives direction. Without a structure, people usually start rambling.
And rambling is dangerous in interviews. The longer you talk without direction, the more nervous you become. So let's break this down properly. The first part is simple. Show that you did your research. Maybe you learned what the company does, who their customers are, or what industry they focus on. Keep it short and specific. For example, from my research, I learned that your company specializes in digital marketing solutions for small businesses. That's already good.
Because it sounds informed without sounding robotic.
Another example, I saw that your company has expanded rapidly in the last few years, especially in Southeast Asia. Again, simple and clear.
So, listeners, notice this. You are not trying to sound like Google. You are just proving I spent time learning about your company.
That alone already puts you ahead of many candidates, because surprisingly, many people show up completely unprepared.
Okay, this is where things become more personal, right?
Exactly. This is where you move from information to connection. You mention something you genuinely like about the company. For example, their culture, innovation, customer service, creative projects, growth, leadership, or work environment.
And this part is important because it shows emotional interest, not just professional interest.
For example, I'm really impressed by your focus on customer experience. Or, I really admire how your company encourages innovation and teamwork. Very natural, very professional.
And honestly, these sentences are easy to remember.
Don't make your life harder by memorizing complicated English. Simple language spoken confidently is much more powerful.
Can I ask something? What if someone doesn't truly feel passionate about the company? Because sometimes people just need a job.
That's a very real situation. And honestly, you don't need to pretend you're emotionally obsessed with the company. Just find one thing you genuinely respect. Maybe the company is growing, the role matches your skills, the environment seems professional, or you like their products. That's enough. Interviewers can feel fake enthusiasm immediately.
That's true. Overacting sounds dangerous in interviews.
Natural always wins. Now, this is the most important part. Most candidates stop after praising the company, but strong candidates make the connection personal. They explain, why does this matter to me? For example, that's one reason I'm excited about this opportunity, because I enjoy working in fast-paced environments where I can continue learning and growing. See what happened there? The answer became personal.
Yeah, suddenly the interviewer understands your personality, your motivation, and your work style.
Another example, I enjoy collaborative environments, so I was really interested when I read about your team-focused culture. That's strong because it creates alignment.
So instead of saying, your company is amazing, you're saying, your company fits the kind of environment where I do my best work.
That's the difference between a weak answer and a memorable answer.
Okay, Cece, let's put everything together. What would a complete answer sound like?
All right, here's a simple example. From my research, I learned that your company is growing quickly in the technology industry, especially in customer experience solutions. I'm really impressed by your focus on innovation and teamwork. That's one reason I'm excited about this opportunity, because I enjoy collaborative environments where I can learn new skills and contribute to meaningful projects.
That sounds professional, but still human.
And listeners, notice something important. This answer is not complicated. No advanced vocabulary, no memorized speech, no fake personality. Just research, connection, and clarity. That's it.
Honestly, this structure makes the whole question feel much less intimidating.
Because now you have direction. And once you practice this a few times, your brain stops panicking during interviews.
Listeners, remember this formula. What you know, what impressed you, why it connects to you. 3 simple steps.
And if you can answer with clarity and sincerity, you will already sound more professional than most candidates.
In the next part, we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes candidates make when answering this question and how to avoid sounding generic or fake.
And trust me, some of these mistakes happen way more often than people realize.
All right, everyone, let's continue. All right, Cece, we've talked about what people should do. Now let's talk about what people should absolutely avoid. Because honestly, sometimes one bad answer can destroy the energy of the interview.
And the problem is, most candidates don't even realize they're making these mistakes. So today, let's fix that. The first mistake is giving a generic answer. Something like, your company is very successful. Your company is very professional. I know your company is famous. These answers are not terrible, but they sound empty.
Because technically, you could say the exact same thing to any company in the world.
There's nothing personal or specific, and interviewers hear these answers constantly. If you want to stand out, mention one real detail. For example, I noticed your company focuses strongly on customer experience, and I really like that approach. Immediately stronger.
Because now it sounds researched and intentional. Okay, next mistake. Trying too hard to sound perfect.
Yes, this happens a lot with English learners. People memorize a full paragraph online and then repeat it like a robot. The problem is, the moment the interviewer asks a follow-up question, panic begins.
Exactly, because they memorized words, not ideas.
And honestly, interviewers can feel when an answer is not natural. Sometimes candidates sound like they're reading a company advertisement. That creates distance.
So instead of memorizing every sentence, memorize the structure.
Understand the message, what the company does, what you like, and why it fits you. Then speak naturally. Natural communication always feels more confident. And the next mistake is talking too much.
This one is dangerous. When nervous people keep talking and talking and talking.
Yes, many candidates think long answer equals smart answer. Not true. Usually, strong answers are clear and concise. If your answer becomes too long, you lose focus. And honestly, you also lose energy.
I've done this before. I started answering one question and somehow ended up talking about my university project from 5 years ago.
That happens when you don't have structure. Remember, 30 to 60 seconds is usually enough. Short, focused, intentional. And another common mistake is candidates only talk about what they want. For example, I want better opportunities. I want career growth. I want a higher salary. Again, these things are normal, but if your answer only focuses on yourself, it feels one-sided.
Because the interviewer is thinking, okay, but why our company?
Exactly. A stronger answer creates balance, not just what can this company do for me, but also why do I connect with this company? That balance sounds much more professional.
Okay, Cece, let's do a quick comparison. Here's a weak answer. Your company is very famous and I really want to work here because I need new opportunities.
Not terrible, but very generic. Now, listen to this version. I read about your company's recent expansion in digital marketing, and I was really impressed by your creative campaigns for younger audiences. I enjoy fast-paced and creative environments, so this role immediately caught my attention. See the difference?
Yeah, the second answer sounds more thoughtful and confident.
Specific details create credibility, and connection creates memorability.
Honestly, I think the biggest lesson here is this. Interviewers are not looking for perfection. They're looking for preparation and sincerity.
Right. You do not need the perfect answer. You just need an answer that feels clear, intentional, and genuine. That alone already puts you ahead of many candidates.
Well, you know, Cece, I think today's episode changed the way I see interviews. Before this, I thought the question, "What do you know about our company?" was just a test, like the interviewer wanted the correct answer.
But now we understand something much more important. This question is really about preparation, connection, and genuine interest, not perfection.
And honestly, I think that realization removes a lot of pressure, because you don't need to sound like a corporate machine. You just need to sound prepared, thoughtful, and real.
So today, let's quickly review the biggest lessons from this episode. First, don't give generic answers. Second, don't memorize complicated scripts. Third, use the 3-step structure: what you know, what impressed you, and why it connects to you.
And finally, keep your answer natural, clear, and concise. Because confidence is not about difficult English. Confidence is about clarity.
And remember, interviewers are not looking for perfect people. They are looking for people who are prepared, professional, and genuinely interested in the opportunity.
All right, everyone. Now we want to hear from you. What was the most useful lesson you learned from today's episode? Was it the 3-step formula, the common mistakes, or how to sound more natural in interviews? Leave your answer in the comments below.
And if this episode helped you feel more confident about speaking English in interviews, don't forget to subscribe to Focus English with Cece. We create practical English lessons to help you communicate naturally at work, in interviews, and in real life.
Also, give this episode a like and share it with a friend who's preparing for interviews right now. It might help them more than you think.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Keep practicing, keep improving, and remember, every interview is a learning experience.
We're cheering for you.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.